Hello, everybody. It's Sunday night. The name of the show is Intuitive Inc., and this is Servet Hassan. Just so you know, we have a really great guest tonight, but you cannot call in because we're pre-recording because I'm traveling, and I have a really interesting guest who travels a lot as well. So this is going to work for us. Just don't call in with any questions because we won't be able to answer them. Anyway, I have Hans Rhyner, who's from Germany originally, and he's written a book called Llewellyn's Complete Book of Ayurveda. It's fascinating. I don't have the complete book yet because it's over 700 pages, but I have a sort of condensed version of what's to come, and it's fascinating. Anyway, Hans is received a doctorate in alternative medicine and philosophy in India and led his own clinic in Bangalore for more than 20 years. And not only that, he's a revered pioneer in India and in Europe for his work adapting and integrating classical Ayurveda with the spiritual and holistic understanding of it on the West Coast. People on the West Coast have gotten a little more familiar with it, but it's almost like it's trendy. And it's not a trend. In India, it is actually their primary source of healthcare. So we're going to discuss this with Hans, who's on the line calling from Vienna. So, hi. Thank you.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening. I mean, thank you for taking the time. I know it's late there, and this is your time. So let's just get right to it and start in. I mean, 740 pages, I think, is what the estimated final manuscript is going to be. There's a lot to say. So, and we only have an hour, and I know we think that's a long time, but usually it's not. It goes very quickly. So tell me, Hans, what brought you to studying Ayurveda to start with?
I was living in India and primarily being interested in yoga and philosophy. And while living in India, I just got married to a beautiful Bollywood actress. And so I remained in India for many years. And over the years, I had a rural development project on the countryside in Maharashtra. And there I met a lot of herbalists and Ayurveda doctors. And everybody said, Hans, you have to do Ayurveda. This is the thing for you. So early in the 70s, I started my studies. And so I got into it.
You got into it in India because of a beautiful Bollywood actress. This has gotten more men into more situations. A beautiful woman. That's all it took.
Yes, very much. And a beautiful child afterwards.
Oh, I'm sure. I was born in Pakistan, so I can imagine. The combination must be beautiful. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. Just it's
The calm ladies are famous for their beauty.
Oh, I know. Well, thank you. Anyway, so you just delved right into it. You just started, I think at some point, because I read the condensed version that I have, and it's really hard. I mean, even when I say 700 pages, it's really hard to, I think in some part of the book you say, even if you're just talking about Ayurvedic massage or yoga, you could write 700 pages on just that alone. You know?
Yes.
So
I have written also many other books for that reason.
Right. So how did you come to pick what you picked to talk about? Because from what I'm understanding from what I've read, this is kind of to give the layman sort of a really good understanding of what Ayurvedic medicine is, and also for people who've already studied it, it gives them some more insight, right?
Yes, because I wrote the book on the basis of my clinical experience and how I explain Ayurveda to my patients, and that is why it's understandable for laymen and for therapists or for modern doctors who are interested to know more about Ayurvedic medicine.
Right. Okay. So you really wanted to make it more universal. It has actually become. Well, did you start? I think did you start the first Ayurvedic hospital in Switzerland? Am I correct?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay. So you've been doing this for a very long time, and you started out in Bombay, I think, and then you went to Bangalore, and
yes.
you studied at the Ayurveda Research Center International, or started that. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you go ahead.
You mentioned the massage, and
Right.
a lot of what I wrote in the book is not what they teach in the colleges in India, because I learned from the traditional masters, and it was like a book with 7 seals. And even some of the teachers who I had, they were not ready to partake all the knowledge. So what I did, I had a clinic in Bangalore, and I just engaged all these great masters, traditional masters in Ayurveda and in Kalari, that's the martial art fellows who are well versed in the orthopedics. And by watching how they work, I was extracting their knowledge.
Right. Well, I noticed that in this book, Llewellyn's Complete Book of Ayurveda, written by Mr. Hans Rhyner, who's on the phone with us, each chapter begins with a verse translated from classical textbooks. So you were incorporating the classics along with everything else, right? With
yes.
what you knew. Now, okay, so tell people out there, for the listeners that are listening that don't know, what is Ayurvedic medicine?
Well, Ayurveda medicine is one of the 5 systems of Indian systems of medicine. It is taught in over 300 colleges all over India. And you can do a medical examination, you can do a post-graduation course in Ayurveda. But this is relatively new. Earlier it was just passed over from one master to his students. And Ayurvedic medicine, what makes it so interesting for laymen is that Ayurveda says the natural situation of us human beings is the healthy state. So it devotes most of the energy to maintain the healthy state. Right. Because even 5,000 years ago, when these classical books were written down or were spoken to the disciples, it was a big problem to become ill. Charaka, one of the classics, said if you're ill, you have 2 problems. You have to go to the doctor, and then on the one side, every therapeutic intervention is dangerous. So your life is in danger when you go to the doctor. And the second point is, if you go to the doctor, then to become healthy again becomes a very expensive undertaking. So the best thing is not to fall ill in the first place.
Right.
So that's why Ayurveda is devoting the time of how you remain healthy, how you can lead a proper healthy lifestyle and nutrition, which corresponds to your constitution. Mm-hmm. And there is the other important point. It has 2 concepts of the constitution. One is physical. So in olden days, they were taking the 5 elements and saying one person may have more fire, so he's reacting more to fire, and another person may have more water in his physical constitution, and he reacts quicker to water or to qualities of water like cold and heavy. And this is the physical constitution, and you may call it genetics. It's like a system of genetics. that will tell us if I have a particular constitution, I must take care according to the constitution. And the second working thesis is the one of psychological or character constitution. Because we can see even in small children that every small child has a different character. This set of character, nowadays we speak in psychology of epigenetics. So even nowadays we look into these epigenetic factors in psychology. So Ayurveda had this concept much earlier, a psychological constitution and a physical constitution. And once you know these two constitutions, you can very well adapt the lifestyle to your constitution and the dietetics to your constitution and also your social environment and what are your likings and what are your adverse to it. And that way you can remain healthy.
Right. Well, that's the goal, especially right now, Hans, because I don't know if you know what's going on in America, but our healthcare system is going through a major, major shift of this, Obamacare, and now we have a new president, Donald Trump, and President Trump is trying to redefine the healthcare system. But this is a real issue for us because the bill as it stands right now, which has gone to the Senate, which doesn't really matter because I think they're going to change it all. But this is, we're looking at a lot of people that may be out of healthcare. And the costs may be astronomical that you just can't afford it, even if it's there. So, this is important when we're starting to look at chronic illnesses and things that are recurring in people over and over and over again. And they can't go to doctors. And even if they could go to doctors, they're not getting better. So it's better to prevent it. But also, Ayurveda also helps you cure things in a simpler way, more cost-effective way with less side effects too, correct?
Yes. Yes. I mean, that is the tendency all over the world that the healthcare systems, they are simply unaffordable. So even the governments trying to give back the responsibility for their health back to the citizens, and they are not able to cope with it. So Ayurveda on the one hand gives the knowledge to individuals how to remain healthy, how to increase the immunity. And the other side of it is in treating ailments. Chronic ailments cannot be treated very well by emergency medicine. Chronic ailments can be very well addressed by Ayurvedic medicine. And as you said, in a very cost-effective manner. Because it involves the individual of much more than the conventional medicine does.
Right. Okay, well, you talked about, so is this something, if you studied Ayurvedic medicine, I want to make it clear to people out there that if they're reading this book, do you seek a doctor who's knowledgeable in this, or should they try these things themselves? What's the best approach for someone who's a layman?
The best approach is to try to write down the symptoms, watch when the symptoms are coming, and watch your own bodily system and physical system. Watch your pain. When are they coming? So, you see, even any doctor, be it a modern or being a doctor of alternative medicine, we have to have very complex hypotheses to find out what is happening in the patient. But the patient himself or herself, she can much more clearly see the symptoms and feel the symptoms. So in the cooperation, I mean, there has to be much more close cooperation between the patient. It's not like you go to the doctor and in 5 minutes he tells you, oh, you got some rheumatic complaints and so many milligrams per 1 kilo of body weight, male or female, and out you are out of the office. Mm-hmm. So that will never work very well and satisfactory for the patient. So if you go, and first of all, you try to adjust your diet, you adjust your lifestyle, you can very well contribute 40 to 50, if not 60% to a chronic ailment. For example, I just had a patient with me for the last 5 days. Mm-hmm. So he has a metabolic syndrome. So that means he's overweight, he has diabetes, he has high blood pressure, and he has high cholesterol levels. Mm-hmm. So I just kept him with me for 5 days, and we did the massage treatments, and we did a special diet for him, and I specifically didn't give him any Ayurvedic medications. And within 5 days, he lost 4 kilos, and because he's measuring his blood sugar twice a day, and he found out just by adjusting the diet and doing some treatments, which he very well could do also on his own, he didn't have to give one injection of insulin the whole week.
Wow. That's great. Yeah. I'm a true believer in that we need to understand our bodies more. And you said it really quickly, the 7 seals. Explain that. Well,
when I asked one of my teachers that if he can write down a particular treatment which was very successful, he told me, if I tell you everything, what will be my position? So he did not want to disclose his knowledge, but unfortunately, a few months later, he died at a very early age. And nobody, not even his sons, or he didn't have any students or disciple, and his whole knowledge got lost. And that's why we formed the Trust Ayurveda Research Center International, with all the old stalwarts and very knowledgeable persons in Ayurvedic medicines, and they were ready to present Ayurveda to me like on a silver platter, but their only condition was that I should take Ayurveda and bring it to the West. And that's the reason why I wrote the book in the first place.
Wow. So you wrote, this is a pretty comprehensive, over 700 pages of. So how did you decide what to include? Or that's a lot of words to write. You did this all by yourself too. And I think the final page count is 744 pages. So how did you, it's a comprehensive resource for understanding the practice of traditional Indian medicine. What was the writing process like? How did you?
Wonderful.
Good. It should be.
Yes.
But
I started with the history for one reason, to show that the West had very much contact with Ayurvedic knowledge since a very long time. We think now it's very fashionable or it's going into mainstream, but it's there for a very long time. Like when Alexander the Great, he came to Pakistan. And he took all the pundits with him. It's known, Taxila is the city which had a medical university. And 328 BC, Alexander was there, and he took all the medical pundits, knowledgeable person of medicine, back to Egypt, to Alexandria.
Wow.
And that was one of the first contact we had with Ayurveda. And the first European book was written in 1567 by the Portuguese physician to the governor. And it became a bestseller in Europe. It was written in Latin, So, and the next wave came in the 18th, 19th century. So there has been continuous flow from, the working hypothesis of Ayurveda we find in the writings of Hippocrates, with his theory of the humors, with the four humors. So it is very interesting for us Westerners to know that for many, many years we have been influenced, though we don't even know, by Ayurvedic medicine.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's true. I think and I actually do believe it is scientific. It is scientific medicine, correct? Is that right?
Yes, I mean, not much has changed in the last 10,000 years. If we eat a piece of bread, the digestive process is still the same as it was 5,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. And our anatomy, our physiology has not much changed. And besides that, when it was observation, very close observation of nature and very close examination of how patients are reacting to treatments, to substances, and everything was recorded, and whatever was successful remained over centuries and was even more worked on, and the things which didn't work became obsolete. And so we have a collection, unbroken chain of traditional Ayurveda practice in the Indian subcontinent. Like in the whole, we don't speak only of India when we talk of Ayurveda. We talk of the Indian subcontinent, including many parts of Persia until what is known today as Burma or Tibet or Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, exactly. Well, what do you think the biggest misconception is then about Ayurveda?
Well, that has happened thanks to the British Raj. I mean, the colonial time in India. Mm-hmm. They called Ayurveda the Hindu medicine. Mm-hmm. And they called the other side of the Muslim, they call it Unani, or the Persian medicine. And with that they gave it a stigma, which it was not. Because Ayurveda was practiced during the time of Emperor Ashoka, who was a Buddhist. Mm-hmm. And he went to Tibet and was used there, and it went to Thailand, it went to Indonesia, up to Bali, and all these places it went, and it was always adapting to time, place, and circumstances of the patients.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and so much, I was born in Pakistan, but when my parents were born, there was no Pakistan. It was India. And they're obviously Muslims, so they ended up in Pakistan, which is where I was born. I grew up in London and Montreal and here in the United States. So I'm a British citizen, Canadian citizen, and American citizen. But I do remember when I got sick, my mother had some cure. I don't know. I mean, she just knew if I had the flu or my chest hurt, she would do a couple of things. She'd just look in your eyes, and she would smell your breath, and for some reason, she would go in the kitchen, and she would mix up some turmeric paste, or she'd boil some herbs and spices, and you drink it, or she'd rub the paste on your chest. And I'll tell you, I got better. Better.
Yes, very well. Mm-hmm. And without side effect and without expensive bill of the physician.
Right. I mean, they were pretty reasonable people. If I was exceptionally, they would take me to a doctor. But first, they would try what they knew to do, because that was just what they were taught. It's part of their culture. It's part of their heritage. And nobody wrote these things down. It's just been passed down from one generation to another. And if I ask her, I tried that, Mom, and she'll say, and I said it didn't work, and she'll say, oh, you forgot the cloves. And I'm like, well, you didn't say cloves. It's just how she feels at that time when the sickness is there, that it changes that. It's almost intuitional. Do you know what I mean? It's almost, they read right into the illness as
yes,
well.
but that has to become again our tradition. Mm-hmm. Because with that alone, what your mother did, you could save already 50% of all the costs that are accrued in the health system. Mm-hmm. If somebody can do the small things, take care of it, and not for a little headache, you run to the doctor, or not for a small infection or a flu, you go to the doctor. If people again start treating themselves, you can save already 50% of the health bill.
Right. I understand that completely, but do you think it's dangerous for people that don't know what they're doing? And how
not really. No, not really.
Good.
And the traditions are there. Like in my book, I give the hypothesis of how you can get to know what is good for you. So it's not even that you have to use Indian herbs. You can very well use the herbs that are available in California, or the herbs that are available in Canada, and use the local herbs, use the local food items, the regional items, and you can cure yourself with that.
Right. Do you talk about that in the book? Do you talk about local herbs? Because we're not always open to getting many things. Well, now with the internet you can, but so you do talk about things that you can get locally as well.
Yes.
Right.
I have one in the chapter on nutrition. Mm-hmm. There is a part which is called kitchen pharmacy. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I have to get some water.
Please do. This is what happens when we record. So do what you need to do and go for. I'm used to doing a live show, so everything happens during a live show.
Yes.
People have gotten hiccups.
I have my Ayurvedic herbal tea here, so it's no problem.
Yeah, people have gotten hiccups in the middle of my show before, and we just keep going because that's what you do. You just keep going. But no, yes. And I agree with you, because really honestly, if I have a stomach ache or a friend of mine has a stomach ache and I say, well, here's some peppermint tea, even if it doesn't help the stomach ache, it's not going to hurt her, Yeah.
And on that kitchen pharmacy, I just went to the kitchen and I looked over what is there in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. And I found 64 items in my kitchen, which can be used as medicine. So I given how you can take it and what is the dose and what it will be useful, or what will be the indication you can treat with it. Mm-hmm.
So you have those readily available. You just always have those.
Genau. Yes, you have that very much available in your own kitchen. There will be so many things. If you just look around, even in your garden, mm-hmm. Like I have a friend, he's a botanist, and he's teaching how the local herbs can be used. And when he was once in a conference, he said he went out in front of the hotel where the conference was, and he said the 20 meters from here to the hotel entrance, where there was only a lawn there, and he said we can find already 25 herbs which can be useful. So even in areas where you don't expect it, everywhere in the middle of a city you can find the herbs that will heal you.
Right. And you talk about all of that in the book.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good. And also you talk about massage a lot. And
yes.
The benefit of that. Now, you're not just talking about going to Massage Envy and getting somebody to rub there's a real art to the massage as well, correct? Is that right? I mean,
yes. In therapy, yes. And but also for the home use. You can do a lot of, you can solve a lot of your problems by regular massage with different types of oils. Mm-hmm. Or you can make a wrap with warm oil on a knee or another joint where you have some pain. Or you can have a head massage if you have a tinnitus, a ringing in your ear, or if you have hair fall, or if you have headache. So there are so many useful indications and complaints for which you can do a massage. But the best thing is if you incorporate your own massage into your lifestyle and do it once or twice a week. Take the time, and it will act like a protection shield against all kinds of influences from outside.
Okay, so let's take this. I'm usually stressed out, and I'm in my, I'm almost 60. No, I'm almost 59. But I'm getting headaches. I am losing more hair than usual, even though I have a ton of it. What would I do? Twice a week, massage my head with a certain type of oil?
Yes, like if you're a fiery type of a lady, mm-hmm. or very temperamental, and you're more of a fire woman, we call it a pitta person. Mm-hmm. Then people with pitta constitution tend to put all their energy in their head, and the result of that is that their vision is getting less, and the hairs are falling, and they may get some ringing in the ear. Mm-hmm. And for that, they should just take a cooling oil, like a coconut oil, and rub it on the scalp. If they make it a little warm before applying, it would be wonderful, and then you leave it on the head for at least half an hour and a maximum of 1 hour, and then wash the hair with your normal shampoo your body is used to.
Mm-hmm. No, I do things. I think I'm more of a wind than fire, but if you read the book, then you'll know, right?
Well, from the photo I see of you, I think you're a combination of wind and fire.
Well, there you go. Probably, you're right, because I do have fire in me. I do.
Yes.
I agree. But yes, so if you read the book, because I went to the doctor the other day. I had to go in for something. It wasn't anything major, just like a checkup. And the first thing they ask you nowadays is to bring a list of everything you're taking. Because so many people are just, I think, addicted to being addicted. You know, it's like, so I said, he said, where's your list? I said, I don't have a list. He said, there's nothing you take every day. And I said, no. He said, do you take a vitamin every day? And I said, no. Do you take an antidepressant? Because I guess a lot of Americans do now. And I said, no. And he said, there isn't one thing you take every day. And I said, no, there isn't.
What?
Which is knock wood, thank God, but I mean, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that this is the culture we live in now. Everybody goes to get a pill for something,
Yes.
Whereas I grew up, and I think this is very subconscious, because until I read the book, your book, Llewellyn's Complete Book of Ayurveda, I was like, you know what? I've been doing this my whole life, without knowing it. Just that was part of how I grew up. Like if I do have a stomach ache, I'll reach for peppermint tea. If something's not right and I'm kind of nauseous, it's ginger. I reach for ginger. If I'm feeling a little down, I'll get some lavender oil. I'll put it on my wrists, and then lavender makes me high, by the way. It just makes me so happy. But
yes,
I
it's antidepressant also. Yes.
Yeah, I've been doing this my whole life. So this is nice that you are bringing it into the Western world. in a very scientific way. And it isn't just trendy. It's more about what it can do for you in terms of food. One other thing I want you to talk about too, Hans, is yoga.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very important. So go ahead.
That was the main reason I went to India in the first place, because I started yoga in the 60s, in the late 60s here in Europe, in Switzerland. And I was fascinated by it. And then I went to India and got some formal training by a yoga master. And I also got very much into the therapeutic effect of yoga. And especially in the psychosomatic ailments, you can do wonders when you do yoga side by side with other Ayurvedic treatments. Or even if you just do yoga alone, you can do wonders on asthma, for example, because asthma, or even on a irritable bowel syndrome, you can do wonders when you do regular yoga. And not to speak of the fascia or your muscular system and your joints. I mean, there are so many benefits from yoga, and everybody can do it. I have 85-year-old, 90-year-old people with whom I do yoga.
Right. Well, I want you to know I have a T-shirt that says "Kiss My Asthma." Anyway.
Yes.
It's cute. But anyway, I totally agree. I mean, I think I think that's another thing that got a little bit too trendy and commercialized, especially here in the United States. Now they have, quick yoga. It's almost like everything becomes a microwaved version of whatever it was. Whereas yoga has very deep roots and it is very therapeutic. So I'm glad I wanted to bring that up. So you talk about that too in the book as well.
Yes, but nevertheless, I mean, whatever yoga people are starting with, they get some benefit, and that benefit they get, even if it's a little superficial, but that benefit will lead them, if they have a bigger problem, to look also deeper into yoga.
I agree. If it starts them in the right direction. There's nothing. And you know what? Even if they're doing it the way they're doing it, they're still getting exercise. They're still moving their body. And the thing about yoga for me was it wasn't the physical part of yoga for me. What yoga taught me was to breathe correctly. And that changed everything for me. Breathing properly got me much healthier.
You can, as a radio teacher, you have to talk a lot, and so the breathing is important. And I mean, the breathing pattern is very much influenced also by our mind, and yoga is a system also to work on the mind or to have a positive influence on the mind. It's like it gives you more psycho-immunity. So it's wonderful to add the massages and then in combination with the yoga, because the oils and the massage will make all the hard parts of your muscles and fascia soft again. And then you get the chance by doing then yoga and that you can get rid of the compensation and the trigger points which will give you pain. So that will be on the physical level, but on more important is even the meditation part. Or another thing is I mentioned in my book is also the rituals. The modern society doesn't have the rituals anymore that are important, because every ritual which we'll find in many religions, in many societies, they always have a very important health aspect. And by doing the rituals, you get a protection from so many different life situations. you move from one place to another, or you go into a new situation. So all these rituals, they always, or you grow up, you're a youth, and then you're a young woman, and then you may be a mother, and you may be a wife, or you may work in a particular job. So you need little rituals that will give you protection, so that you will remain sovereign.
Well, define rituals for people. You mean because to me that means time where you're reverent, where you are completely, you repeat a certain thing, even if it's just prayer. What do you mean by ritual?
Well, a ritual can be a prayer, but a ritual is training for your consciousness to protect yourself. Because after all, life is full of danger, and if you go out, every step in the material world is you're encountering dangers. So the ritual will train your consciousness to protect yourself. So, we have so many ailments are because people think they are, what is the right word for it? I'm sorry. Or they cannot, like you were saying of the situation now, Obamacare is not there anymore, and the people are afraid. We are betrayed, or we are helpless. But you're never helpless.
Well,
so
it's
ritual
fear.
Training your consciousness always to find a way to protect yourself.
Right, from fear, from the fear of anything. Just
from
sometimes,
the fear. Yes.
Just sometimes from the fear of living. I call that meditation for me. I have a daily practice, so I guess that would be my ritual. I have a daily practice where I take a moment before I even put my feet on the floor in the morning, where I reach into my consciousness, because in the end, I think everything that happens to us physically and in our bodies, but physically in the world outside of us even, is a product of our mind.
Yes.
So, and your mind will be like a bull in a china shop if you don't control it. So.
Yes, that's why Ayurveda says you should not get up immediately in the morning, or you should not be woken up briskly in the morning, or you should not be exposed to strong lights in the morning, but you should wake up very softly, and then remain in the bed for some time and think about your life and think what you like to do and what this new day will bring to you. And with that, you go completely different. The whole day will be completely different.
Oh, God, Hans, if I don't do that first thing in the morning, I am a wreck by noon. I am bumping into walls and not myself. And people notice I rarely miss, but every once in a while I have to get up very quickly and just run and start my day with coffee and the news and everything else. And I'm telling you, I'm not the same. I'm not the same. Yeah.
Because your protection shield is gone.
There isn't one. There is no protection. See, this went very quickly, Hans. We're kind of winding down now, but I want to talk about you a little bit more. The book is coming out. The estimated publication date is next month, June 2017. So that's going to be out very soon. And I want you to tell people where they can find that and how they can find you. And do you do personal sessions with people? Are you doing workshops? What is your life's work about?
My patients.
Good. People.
So of course, I'm very active here now. I have a practice in Vienna. I have in Austria, a beautiful town, and right in the center of town. And I have a practice in Munich, and I have a practice in Switzerland. and I have a practice on the beautiful island of Mallorca in Spain. So I interact very closely with my patients, but since I cannot interact with everybody, I started writing books. I will also be in California in July with my daughter.
Oh, good.
And
where?
Yes.
Where in California?
Oh, in LA. I will be in Bel Air with a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And from there I will go to Phoenix to a conference of naturopaths. The yearly conference, which is there in Phoenix, Arizona. So I will attend there and also give a lecture. And I intend to come more regularly again to the USA, especially to California.
Good. Well, then we will see you because I will find you, Hans. But now, for people that want to find you, is there a website where these speaking engagements are on there and how they can find you? Do you have a website?
Yes, but I will, for the opening of the book, I will also make it in English. For the time being, I'm in 3 German-speaking countries, busy, and sometimes in India, but I don't have a website in English where my dates are given, but usually I always have all my dates 1 year ahead of where I'm available. I just went, I'm here in the center of town near the big Stephansdom and all the opera house. And so many Americans are here.
Right.
Everybody speaks English here. I mean, even they come to Europe, and of course the people also from America who come to Europe, they can always see me here.
Right.
And I may come once or twice a year to America.
Well, this show runs internationally. There's like 70 some plus countries that get this show. So that's good to know. But I have it down as www.ayurveda-rhyner.com. Is that the website?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and your last name, Hans, is spelled RHYNER.com. So it's Ayurveda-Rhyner.com. If some people speak other languages, they can look it up and find you.
Yes,
if they
but
need
even
you.
if they just do a Google search on me, they can immediately find the books and our website. So it's not so difficult.
No, not anymore. So, and it's Hans Rhyner. I want everyone to know that. This is a really good book because it's very comprehensive. It not only discusses the history of Ayurveda, but the mythological aspects towards it, and then the scientific discoveries of it. It's really comprehensive. And I can see why it's 70 some plus pages. The name of the book is Llewellyn's Complete Book of Ayurveda. Now, and the subtitle is A Comprehensive Resource for the Understanding and Practice of Traditional Indian Medicine. And it's wonderful work. I'm glad you're doing it, Hans. Are you going to continue? Is there another book?
Oh, yes. I just wrote another book here, which came out last month of course, in German. And some books, the same book which you're having in hand is also there in Russia, in Russian language.
Wow, good. Good.
It's also 700 pages. It's called the Encyclopedia of Ayurveda there. And in other East European languages, in Spanish, some books are also there. And in Portuguese, some books are also there.
Wonderful. Well, I think it's great work. Keep it up. And if somebody wanted to get a hold of you as a patient to help, like you said, you had someone with you for 5 days recently who had diabetes, was overweight and everything else. Can they contact you on that website as well?
Yes, they can very much contact me. They can send also their medical reports or send me a question. And if I always see that I can do some justice to the pains and sufferings of the people.
That's wonderful. And you used to have a clinic, I believe, in Bangalore. I mean, I know you have we talked about this, you have a doctorate in alternative medicine and philosophy in India, but you did have a clinic there once. Will you ever do that again?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I have some friends who would like to cooperate, but you see, a clinic is a very big thing. And then my experience with the clinic was that I had to do 60% of my work went into management, and then maximum 40% I could use for the patients. And I don't want that situation anymore. Now I just want to be fully 100% of my time with the patients, and then 20% on top of it. So my nights and free time I used to write books. And in that way, it's a very wonderful work, and it gives me so much. I get so much return from the 10,000s of patients I have treated in the last 40 years.
Wow. Well, on that note, Hans, thank you very much. You're doing great work. Please continue. Again, the name of the book is Llewellyn's Complete Book of Ayurveda, and we've been talking to the author, Hans Rhyner, Rhyner, and thank you so much for calling in from so far away, the other side of the world, and have a really nice evening. And I know we may talk again with your next book, because I'm sure there will be many, many more to come.
Thank you so much. You're most welcome, and all your audiences.
Thank you, and I appreciate it. You take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was great. That was Hans Rhyner. He's, as I said it quite a few times already, but I'll say it one more time, Llewellyn's Complete Book of Ayurveda. It's out in June, which is next month, June 2017. He's a great there's a lot of really good information in there that will guide you to understanding this ancient Indian medicine that is very helpful, very helpful. Anyway, I thank you all for listening in. I have my website, www.servethassan.com. It's SERVETHASAN. Anything you need to know that's going on is on there. And if it's not, I'll put it on there very soon. I will be blogging again. I obviously haven't been, but there's a good reason, because when I go underground like that, there's something else going on. And I keep you all abreast of everything as I go along. I can't believe it's May. It's already, the year is running by. So we will just keep doing the show. I have great guests, lots of good information to come. And you know that I'm always talking about trying to help people be more of their authentic self, which is what I'm all about, because when you are your true self, there's nothing you can't do. And so, as I always say, be you to the full, because that's what's truly beautiful. And anything you need to know about me, including my last book, Life in Transition, is on my website, servethassan.com, and all the blogs and everything else will come out soon. And keep listening. We love you for that. And again, if you have any comments or anything you'd like to contact me for, you can always reach me at Servet, SERVET, at servethassan.com. And I love hearing from you. Any suggestions, please feel free. And again, like I said, be you to the full, because that's what's truly beautiful. Take care. Bye.